Hi there, I'm Linda and this is Huttons Valley Permaculture. Last night we had a really cool night. It was about 4 degrees or 39 degrees Fahrenheit, and I found myself really worried that we were actually going to get lower and get a frost. Why I'm so worried is that I've still got lots of summer crops out here that are quite frost sensitive, so I really need to do a harvest. I've got green and red tomatoes, capsicums, chilies, pumpkins, potatoes, all sorts of things that I want to harvest today and get in the house. So I'm just going to make a start with my tomatoes. I'm going to gather them whether they're green or turning red and just get it all cleared. And of course, they're no good, they'll go to the chickens. I'm still making salsa with the red ones, so I'll let that ripen a little bit more inside. And these ones, I'm just going to turn straight into a green tomato chutney. Oh, chuck that one to the chickens. If they're just too small, I'm just going to give them to the chickens, who'll hopefully just turn them into eggs. Starting to rot. I've got most of the tomatoes off now. Any that are still left, because there are still quite a few, we'll just go to the chickens when these plants head off there. That should be plenty for a chutney, and I reckon the chickens will be happy with that one too. Now, in a recent video I showed these 2 cucumbers that are hanging here. While they're not huge, they're still a decent size, and I'll be able to take those in to pickle. Next on my list are my chilies. Now, this little plant has been keeping me going with green chilies while I make my tomato salsa all through the season. But now it's time to clear all the rest. This one's already dead, but this one's still good. They just haven't had a chance or the warm enough weather to really ripen well. So I'm going to take all of these and put them in the freezer. This generous little plant has been cleared, so we'll move on to the next one. This plant has also been giving me a few green chilies throughout summer. So once you get them going, they're quite a productive plant. I have grown lots of red chilies in the past, but that's in summers that were quite hot, and this one was very cool for me. All right, let's move on. This little plant fell down a bit, but it has given me some red chilies, so it must have been in a slightly warmer, more protected spot than some of my other plants. Well, that's my outdoor chilies cleared. I still have this variety of chili in my little polytunnel, which I'm going to leave for a little bit longer, but I will be heading in there shortly to grab some of my Anaheim chilies. But now, let's move on to the capsicums. Just here, I've got 2 little capsicum plants that haven't done all that great. They did get a bit blown over at the start of the season and a bit knocked back, and of course the cooler weather really impacted them as well. They've got some green capsicums on them, so I'm going to take those and put them in the freezer. 5 cute little green peppers off that one. Just the 2 off that plant. In the middle of the 2 capsicum plants, I've got one of my eggplants that once again has produced more of these little eggplants. I'm going to take those inside and preserve them using an Italian preserving recipe. I actually haven't researched seed saving with eggplants, but I might take that inside and just see if there's any seeds in it that can be harvested. In the greenhouse, there's more tomatoes that can be harvested. I'll grab these, they look pretty good. But I'll be leaving the green ones because they should last a little bit longer in this space here. Although there's not too many left on these plants. There's quite a bundle right here. The mice were really getting to them for a while, but it seems they've found something better to eat. So I'll harvest the ripe ones and leave the others to ripen further and extend the season. This plant here is my overwintered chili plant, so it's in its second year. So it's giving a few red chilies, although that one's had the bottom eaten out of it. Might be okay in my spicy soup I'll be having. And hiding down here is another red chili. So I'll take those, but I'll leave any of the other chilies on this plant because they still have a little bit of time in which they might ripen. Now, just here, I've got an Anaheim chili, which I should be able to grab some seeds, hopefully, from these. In my last video with seed saving, I failed to get any Anaheim chili seeds, so these might be good for that. And I've got another Anaheim chili plant just here with quite a lot of fruit on it, so I'm just going to take some green ones to use straight away. Just next to me here is my painted mountain corn that I planted fairly late in the season just as an experiment. Now the plants are dying off and probably the cobs are as far as they will develop. So I'm going to just check and see how they're going. Now remember, I did plant some pea seeds here and some leeks, but there's no sign of them. I have had lots of birds digging up this area, so I don't know whether they've disturbed them. But I don't know, I always think it's worth a try. So I don't know how well these will act as a trellis for those peas I've planted, but I'll still leave them in the ground. I'm just going to open this and see if we've got anything. Oh, that end's starting to look like it's just breaking down. There you go. You can see some of my little pea plants have started to grow, but they're not growing up the corn stalks. And some of my corn stalks aren't going to be worth growing up anyway, having fallen over. I'll open up a couple more of these. Don't you just love the colours of those? Now I have tried popping some of this corn, but it didn't seem to do a very good job. So I'm going to try and see if I can turn some of it into flour. I'll have to research how to do that. I haven't done that before. So these ones are all deteriorating, but they look beautiful down this end. Now just here in this section I've got some pumpkin plants, and while I didn't get many pumpkins, we had a really dry season and I didn't water, I've got a few, so I'm going to grab those before the rats get to eat them. Now here's the first little pumpkin. They are just tiny that I went to cut off, but it's already broken off from its stem. So I'm going to probably use that one first.
But it looks okay. I don't know what's going on with all these things growing on the side of it, but hopefully that should just be tasty. In amongst here, I've got this one. Because it has a little bit of damage, it's not going to keep very well. So I'll make sure I just use this one fairly quickly. All right. Again, not big, but I don't need a lot of pumpkin. And this is an interesting looking pumpkin. I really don't know what's going on with that, whether it's some sort of virus or some sort of disease these plants have got that's caused that to grow. But that side looks okay. It looks intact. I suppose I'll just cut that off. Now, there could be more pumpkins hiding here, but I'll have to wait for the chickens to find them. The last one that I know of is this one here, which is a baby Queensland blue. So I'll grab that out. And that looks undamaged, so I'll take that in the house and that should store okay. I've got potatoes growing out where my pumpkins are, but I think I might just leave them at this point. The plants don't look very strong and I doubt whether there'll be much in the way of potatoes. Well, we've beaten the frost and got the summer veg harvested. Now I've just got to get it in the house and preserve it. So these guys are probably headed to the freezer, although some of these chilies might be used when I preserve my eggplants. I'll have a look and see what my painted mountain corn is like and see how to go about turning it into flour. Not sure I can do that. I'll pickle some cucumbers, make some relish and some salsa, and probably use some of these pumpkins fairly quickly, but at least this one should be a keeper. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching, and bye for now.